Hey guys and gals, Eerie here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Kingsguard. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's friggin' go! Alright. Alright. A bit of juice dribbled out of the corner of your lips, so you wiped it away with your arm and smiled with childish innocence. After seeing that, she took yet another drink, this time forcing it down until she was finished. How bold. Despite that, the puckering of her face showed her slight dislike for the taste. No need to force yourself. If you don't like it, no need to drink it. My father taught me it's never good to waste. I see. All at once, the figurative cogs within your mind began to turn. Play a game. What kind of colors would this young lady truly show with a bit of wine flowing through her veins? Would she stumble to and fro, dribbling all manner of nonsense from her mouth? Perhaps she would become irritable and hostile at the slightest of inconveniences, screaming and lashing out at anyone within her reach. A devilish grin spread across your face. It was your birthday, after all. A little fun never hurt anybody. You took your bottle of Severin blood and poured the remainder into her chalice. If this wasn't enough to knock her off her feet, then you weren't certain that what would happen. We have so many wines to try. Why not find one you might enjoy? She looked at her glass and back at you, then back at her glass and slightly gulped. You waited patiently, with expectant eyes. She almost had no choice but to give in. I don't suppose it wouldn't hurt to try. Again, she chugged the glass down and made the same puckered face. Excuse me! You caught the attention of their servant. He quickly made his... Oh. Excuse me! You caught the attention of another servant. He quickly made his way over. He exchanged the empty glass in Angela's hand for a full one on the server's platter. You might like this one. Oh, another one? You don't want it? I suppose I am being a bit too forceful. My apologies. It isn't often that I find many who are able to drink with me. You know, being prince and all. Please, take it away. It seems that the young lady has had enough. No, wait. Just as the servant reached forth to retrieve the glass, Angela held onto the cup tighter. I'll try it. It is an occasion, after all. Maybe you were being too cruel, but it was kind of fun. After that third glass, you could already tell her steps had become a bit less elegant. Her face became flushed, eyes unfocused, and mouth slightly slack. She could barely speak without tripping over her own words, and you knew that she had had enough. If you would... excuse me. Lady Angela, where are you going? I just need to rest for a brief moment. He wondered if she would even be able to make it to a chair, much less even be able to coordinate herself to sit down in one. There was a bit of a distance to the nearest chair, the closest being the banquet table. She started her journey swaying to and fro every so often, bumping into a dancing couple who scolded her with some unsavory insults. Though you doubted she cared or was even aware. Just when you thought she would have made it. Damn! Oh, shit. She ran right into the dessert table. Cakes, pies, custards, and all manners of sweets were whisked off the table and splattered right down on her as she gripped onto the cloth for support. No, I don't want to do that. That is so mean. No. No, I can't do that. That's mean. Alright, I'm on... No, I don't... No, I don't feel good about doing that. If your father thought you would enjoy the evening with another woman, he was dead wrong. But even as you eyed the room looking for some kind of scapegoat, there weren't many other choices. It was either be badgered with questions by the nobles and be stuck here with this taciturn girl. If it weren't for the increased guards that your father obviously had employed to watch your every step, you could have gotten away. The castle here certainly is magnificent. Yes, I suppose. I've always wondered what it would be like to live here. Well, she certainly wasn't getting the chance, that's for sure. He glanced out at Angela's cup and noticed that it was empty from when she downed her previous drink. Since you're out of a drink, why don't you wait here while I go retrieve some more? I could get the servants to get you something other than wine if that suits you. Still holding the half-full bottle in your hand, you shook it in a sly way to pretend like it was empty. I'm out of drink myself. Well, alright, I'll be here. You made an effort to get as far away from her as you could, squeezing your way through the crowd and finally feeling at peace. Ugh, she was about as dull as dishwater. You must be really grasping at straws to set me up with someone like that. It was good to meet you too, Lord Havash. I'd recognize that voice and tail anywhere. You moved again, following the sound of the voice, and came across Leandros straightening after a bow. Still sucking up to the nobles again? He eyed the man walking away from Leandros as he scoffed at the lion. As I said, I am used to it. How's your date going? Don't call it that. You know I'm not interested in the women that father brings. At least take the time to get to know her. If you are to be king someday, you'll have to have a queen as well, even if you don't truly love them. That's a tall order coming from the one who dragged me here. Have you even met her? Well, yes, I have. Your father introduced me to her the other day. You thought she was okay? At the very least, I thought her calm demeanor might have been enough to reel you in. One second, y'all. Let me plug my headset in. Ah, it's running out. It's beeping at me, telling me the battery is low. The battery is low. It must be recharged. I might have had a little bit of drink before this video. You know, Drake Wing moments and all that. One second, y'all. Water time. Okay. And how was she gonna do that? Bore me to sleep? You can't honestly think that she would be good enough for me, or even for the kingdom for that matter. I think you are jumping to conclusions a little too soon, don't you think? You've barely spent half an hour with her. Why don't you actually try to get to know her? You never know, perhaps you two might have something in common. She doesn't even drink. Well, that is a positive in my book. Look, she's just not my type. Women aren't my type. You probably know more about them than I do. Maybe you can talk to her. You know, put her down gently and tell her that I'm not interested. Oh, excuse me. A woman's heart is not so fragile that you have to handle it as you would a flower. And this is an affair that you must handle yourself. That's the problem. I don't know how to. It's not like your father is looking for you to marry tonight. He just wants you to find someone who you would be happy with. Or someone who can make him a grandchild. Just spend the evening with her, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Your father isn't going to force you, but he is going to give you the push that you need for the good of the kingdom. He glanced back over at Angela, who was now staring at the ice sculpture on the banquet table that was missing both its arms. Jesus, that thing's still dying. This thing's still melting, isn't it? Maybe you can... Leon? You only had your head turned for a few moments and he already vanished. Not even an ounce of remorse in him. Well, I suppose I have no choice. Guess I can humor her this one night. You gathered yourself 2 glasses of wine from a servant, drank one of them, and then grabbed a third. Before the servant had anything to say in regards to your drink, you simply told him that today was a special occasion and walked off. Oh, Prince Jake, there you are. You had been gone so long I grew a bit worried that something might have happened. Oh, my apologies, I was just distracted is all. Here. Thank you. Well, shall we take a quick look around the castle? That would be nice. Despite the soldiers that remained a consistent 50 steps away, it was nice to be able to get away from the nobles all crowded in the ballroom. You showed her all the places in the castle that you were able to. In the library, where you spent countless hours reading and studying Maestro Corello's lessons, to the garden where fresh flowers, herbs, fruits, and vegetables all grew in abundance. Well, at first you had dreaded the companionship. Once the two of you began talking, you found that she had similar likes and dislikes. The tour ended back in the ballroom, where things were slowly starting to wind down. You offered her a few more drinks, but quickly realized that might have been a mistake. She wandered off, swaying in her intoxication to get some rest, when suddenly... Oh, never mind. Okay, I guess it was failed to happen anyway. She ran right into the dessert table. Cakes, pies, custards, and all manner of sweets were whisked off the table and splattered right down on her as she gripped onto the cloth for support. Her hair and dress were ruined in an instant. She was painted head to toe in brown chocolate, blue, purple, and red berry fillings, and drenched in juice and wine. If that weren't embarrassing enough, the already weakened and melting ice sculpture came crashing down, shattering to the floor into 1,000 pieces. The entire place was a mess as servants quickly gathered around to clean up the mess and assist the stumbling lady. He felt a bit sorry for her, but didn't offer any help. The only concern was how furious father would have been once he found out, but the damage had already been done. After she was helped out of the room to get cleaned up, the nobles began to gossip. It couldn't be helped. It was what they lived and breathed for. In a matter of minutes, the entire castle knew the name of the young girl that had stumbled into the banquet table, and soon after, Lord Bennett and Lady Javine was heard to have left the castle. There was no doubt in your mind that your father would soon be after you, so you did your best to remain as discreet as you could for the remainder of the night. And as the floor was being set for the first dance, to which your father was likely expecting you to be present, you snuck off to the side room with a few bottles of wine and guzzled them down. After all, what good was a dance if you were too drunk to even properly stand? When you were finished with your second bottle, you noticed the room swayed from one way to the other, and your vision was slowly starting to blur. Your father finally located you partway through your third, heaving in the corner of your room. The only thing you could remember was being helped out of the ballroom by your soldiers, your father yelling sharply into your ears. Sound. Who could be reading this late? Huh? How did I get here? Did I sleepwalk? You were surrounded on all sides by rows upon rows of shelves, all packed full of books that stretched off so far into the distance you couldn't see the end. The stale air smelled of aged parchment and burning oil. There was no breeze, but an eerie wail like the harrowing wind resounded from every corner. It appeared that you were in a library, though not one you were familiar with. As you wandered further around, you noticed small statues perched at the edge of each shelf, carved so lifelike you nearly believed it to be real. If it wasn't for the cold, white, emotionless face, you'd almost feel like it could begin to start talking. Creepy. It was quite unsettling, to say the least, so much so that you avoided each and everyone's gaze as you passed on by. You brought up your arms and rubbed your shoulders. It was unreasonably chilly here, like someone had left the windows open on a winter night. Yet despite how cold it was, how much your body started to shiver, you could not see your breath. As far as you could tell, there were no doors or windows in sight. Even as you traveled further on, all you could see was more shelves of books and statues. It was dim, yet not dark enough that you had to strain your eyes to see. As far as you could tell, you didn't know how you could even see in the first place. There wasn't a candle in sight. Rather, a soft yet eerie glow still radiated off the floor and walls. Hello? Is anyone there? You spoke against your better judgment into the shadows, hoping you were alone, or that if you weren't, that someone else friendly resided nearby. When your echoed voice finally settled down, you awaited for an answer, but none came back. As you approached one of the aisles and looked up at the bookshelf, you couldn't even see the top. It seemed to stretch on for eternity. Each book had varying thicknesses, but all were nearly a foot thick, easily twice the size of codexes or larger. You couldn't even begin to imagine how many books there were in this library and what was contained within. Curiosity got the better of you as you struggled to remove one from the shelf. How much does this thing weigh? There was no table for you to set it down upon, so you dropped it on the ground with a resonating thump and glossed over it. It was well worn, but was clearly sturdy enough to not fall apart in your hands. For the size of the book, it was a surprise it even held together. Devrouche Carrel, Volume 28. Volume 28? How many of these are there? As you stared back up, you saw that the Devrouche collection seemed to span the eternity of the bookshelf, going all the way back to Volume 1 and ending several rows above at Volume 48. The books following after the final named volume didn't seem to have a name, but they were so high up you couldn't hope to reach them and peek at what was inside. You cracked open the book in front of you and found the ink was slightly faded, not enough to give you trouble reading. Running, trees, daughter, trouble, hiding, move again, birds, trail found, running, wagon, stay low. One second, y'all. Coffee time. And for those of you keen-eyed observers, yes, I was already on Chapter 2, but that is because I did a recording, and it did not record. So, yay, having to go back over what I did. But I do it because I love you guys. What is this? Even as you skipped a few pages, the writing was the same style of short, concise sentences with little exposition. You turned the book over, looking at the back to find some sort of author. Nothing? Who would want to read something like this? It was a strange book, fitting decoration to this odd and eerie place. Things just keep getting creepier by the minute. You attempted to set the novel back onto the shelf, but you had little luck even being able to lift it off the ground. It must have easily weighed several dozen pounds. It was a miracle you managed to get it out. The sound of the rustling paper began anew, causing you to nearly jump in fright. Is someone else here? You knew that you weren't alone. Someone else was here. While they weren't answering, you didn't know, but you couldn't just sit still and remain in the dark. Very well. I'll have to come to you, it seems. You moved onwards, ignoring the book and following the sound until at last it became clear. As you turned the corner where you believed the noise to be coming from, you found no one there. Hello? You kept your voice lower this time. Something about this place didn't sit well with you. If there's anyone here, I just want to let you know that I am not here to hurt you. I just want to know where I am. No one answered back. This is a joke, it's not funny. Towards the sound. Perhaps it was a child wanting to play hide-and-seek with you. If that was the case, you would never catch them when you were making so much noise. You need to be more quiet, to sneak up on them from behind and find this jokester. You walked slowly and carefully, stepping only on the tips of your toes as you made your way towards the sound. All right, I think I got them now. You peeked your head around the bookcase, but yet again there was nobody. You moved out of the aisle and scoured around, seeing if there was anyone in hiding, and listening for the sounds of footsteps, yet you were all alone. These tricksters were beginning to drive you insane. The maze-like structure of this library was slowly eating at you. You had already traveled so far, yet there was no exit in sight. Where the hell am I? Ah! Okay, just relax. It's only a statue. Still. Your feet moved. You felt compelled to creep closer. A strange sort of curiosity befell you as you brought your hand up to touch the bust's face. It was lifelike. Almost too lifelike. Were it not pale and lacking in color, anyone could have mistook it for an actual person. Why do I feel as though I know you? The bookshelf behind it was empty except for a single book. It was thin, unlike the others that you had seen before, with what looked like a single page contained within. Koshiro, Volume 1. This name. Why do I know this name? As you opened the book to the first and only page, you noticed but a single word written at the top. Print was tiny and smeared, forcing you to squint to make it out. Birth. The cries of seagulls in the blinding light of the sun shook you from your slumber. Your heart pounded heavily and a bit painfully, as though it were some tiny inmate trying to claw its way out. You breathed in slowly and exhaled just as calmly until your beating heart quelled. I haven't had a dream that bizarre in years. Ugh! A burning sensation came up from the back of your throat as you did all you could to push it back down. It left a displeasing taste at the back of your tongue. I really need to stop drinking an hour before bed. A gale blew the curtains wide open, letting more sunlight in. You caught glimpses of the sea beyond your window. You got up and stumbled out toward the balcony, still feeling groggy. You rested your body along the doorway and scanned the horizon. You put your thoughts of the strange dream aside and focused on a ship sailing far out in the ocean. It was approaching the sea gate, an outcropping of rocks that served as a natural barrier for your city from invaders approaching by ship. There were only 2 areas with enough breadth between the rocks to allow ships through, and they were heavily guarded by your nation's own fleet. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks. Your tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!